Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Facebook Live session called Act Against Obesity, which is brought to you by the Times of India in association with Johnson & Johnson. I'm your host and moderator, Paramita Chatterjee. Now, today, across this discussion, we'll be talking about the topic of obesity. It's a term that you and I have heard about, and perhaps we've heard about it from our friends and family, but it's important for us to have this discussion because obesity as a phenomena is taking rapid strides in our country. In fact, at the last count, we are looking at numbers of upwards of 20 crore people being obese in India. And why is that? Well, it's a combination of our sedentary lifestyle, our carbohydrate and trans fat heavy meals, and of course, the South Asian genes. All of this has created a lethal mix of factors which has made obesity creep into our lives and waistline from the young to the elderly. And obesity is something that impacts not just your physical, but also your mental well-being. And it's no coincidence that the diseases like diabetes, heart attacks, and kidney ailments, just to name a few, are also rising hand in hand. So it's important for all of us to act against obesity today, whether it is for ourselves or for our loved ones. So let's find out a little bit more about what is this term obesity. What does it actually mean? Why is it called a disease? And what are the treatment options available? We have with us two of the best-known pediatric surgeons who are joining us from the city of Mumbai. Let me introduce them to you. We have with us Dr. Raman Goel and Dr. Aparna Govil-Bhaskar. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us. So I give a brief introduction, Dr. Raman. Let me start with you about the term obesity. And, it's used in everyday language, and it's something that most of us are familiar with. But medically speaking, what do we mean when we talk about obesity?
So, medically speaking, obesity is that when we have excess fat which affects our health. So body normally has fat which is a required tissue. All right. So if it is not affecting health, it is not a problem. But in people where the fat is extra and that causes multiple diseases, now we know over 200 diseases that can be caused by obesity, then it becomes a problem, and that is what is the term obesity. There are different grades of extra fat. It could be overweight, obese, morbid obese, but that's just a gradation. Ultimately, how your health is affected is what matters. And if the person is happy with the weight, then we have no reason to call anybody obese. It's a matter of personal choice of the person that
Right.
how he accepts himself or herself. So I think this is how medically we should be talking about obesity.
Okay, that's an interesting point because again, if I'm happy with that weight, but at the same time, obesity is being called a disease. Dr. Aparna, when we talk about disease, it usually means that some part of our body is sick. So when we say obesity is a disease, why are we referring it to as that?
Yes, so thank you very much, Paramita. And I think it is important to be aware of our weight, and it's very important to keep it in check because obesity predisposes us to many other problems in our body. So like Sir Dr. Goel has just mentioned that it is associated with almost 200 other diseases. So it's a chronic disease, just like diabetes or say hypertension, where if you remain obese for a very long period of time, there is a small section of people who will not have any problems, who will still remain healthy. But the larger section of people will probably also start having associated comorbidities like say diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, associated changes in the lungs, the liver. So it kind of affects the whole body from head to toe. And that is the whole symptom complex. When it is associated with diabetes, hypertension, and cholesterol related issues, then we say that the whole thing is known as metabolic syndrome. So that is a disease state, So
we call Indians obese or a person with obesity. And it's an important determinant because as Dr. Aparna was mentioning, there are so many diseases which can come when a person is obese. And that's why in Indian situation or Asian situation, it's even more necessary to maintain weight because a 5 kg increase in weight can suddenly turn you from being overweight to obese, and
Okay.
then the disease process starts.
Oh, okay. So 25, because I think in that case, for instance, I mean, this is raising red flags for me myself. I think I might be on the borderline. Dr. Aparna, I mean, somebody who's watching this show, if he decides to use the formula that Dr. Raman used and finds that his BMI is 26, 27, a little higher than 25, what does he or she do in that case?
So I think first of all, I would take it in a stepwise manner. There's something which you can do yourself, and when the severity of the problem is not very high, I think you could just go on a kind of regularize your lifestyle and eat on time, eat healthy food. Not really go crazy about healthy eating, but eat healthy food and a regular 45-minute exercise for 5 days a week. But if it is crossing, say, the overweight category, or you are on the upper limit of the overweight category, I think it is time to seek professional help, because that's the point where you would actually be susceptible to developing the other diseases. So it's very important to check the weight. Also, your target is much smaller at that time. So you don't have much to lose, and it's easier to do it at that time. So I think professional help, again, this is a very huge discussion. It can be a webinar on its own, because I think people should go to qualified dietitians and weight loss teams and take help from there, and not just pick up a diet from the internet and just, start practicing it. So we've seen, I'm sorry, yeah.
Right. So Dr. Aparna, is it mostly to do with our diet? Is exercise just a small portion of it? Because, I know the minute that, we start gaining weight, one has a tendency to exercise like a maniac, but perhaps not pay so much attention to the food.
No, so it's like Sir's already mentioned, it's all four things. It's your diet, it's your exercise, it's your sleep, it's your stress. So everything has to be controlled, and these are the four things which we can actually control. There are many other factors which are not in our control. So the hormonal issues, the neurological issues, and things like that, which are also contributing to obesity. But this is something which we have a control over, and we can modify it if we want to. So when we talk about management of obesity, we have to basically take a holistic view and do everything. It can't just be that you go on a liquid diet and try to lose weight and not exercise and not sleep and just be stressed out all the time. So it's not going to work. So that is why I said that it's important to take professional help, somebody who can guide you medically about the right way to go ahead.
Okay, so you mentioned 4 pillars. So there's food, there's exercise, there's stress, and there's sleep. And Dr. Raman, if I look at these 4 things, especially now when all of us are locked down, stress definitely has gone up during this COVID lockdown period. Our food intake has also gone up because we don't have much to do. Our exercise has gone down. We are mostly stuck at home. And of course, it does impact your sleep because all of these, 3 factors are there. So what's been the impact of COVID on obesity?
So surprisingly, there are 2 sets of people. There are many people who have lost weight during this time, and there are equally big number or a bigger number of people who have gained weight. So it all depends on, and I tell people or my patients, it reflects how is your home environment. So if you are locked down at home, eating only home food, and if you are exercising at home, this was a great opportunity to lose weight because you are not partying with your friends, you are not eating at your workplace, and all those bar visits. Or now those people who have unhealthy food habits at home, who do not have an exercise regime built in, they only exercise if they go to gym, otherwise they don't exercise. Other people who have gained weight. So there was a study from UK where they said that in first 3 months of lockdown, when the UK was completely shut down, about 4 lakh people have gained weight, and which will affect their health in long run. They said even after 6 to 9 months, since they have become obese, they might catch COVID and they might have adverse effects of COVID because they are obese now. So look at just a 3 months of restriction and lack of exercise can cause such drastic change in numbers. We don't have those numbers for India, but I am sure it's going to be much, much bigger.
Okay, Dr. Aparna, COVID times, again, if you look at COVID itself, there are two parts. One is that COVID, of course, impacts those who are obese, and these are statistical, these are empirical data which is coming out that if you're obese, your mortality rate and it getting impacted adversely by COVID actually increases. So there's that aspect. And of course, many people have become unhealthier, they have gained weight due to COVID, because of the lockdown, rather, not due to COVID, but because of the lockdown. So, how are you looking at this situation when it comes to India's obesity problem?
So, I think as what we are also seeing in our practice is that the people who are susceptible to gain weight, the people who suffer from the disease of obesity, because if you see that not everyone puts on weight, right? So there are people who would eat the same quantity of food or have the same unhealthy lifestyle, but they would still remain skinny. And there are those who are susceptible, who will eat, even have water and then put on weight. So for those people who have an inherent susceptibility to putting on weight, they are putting on much, much more weight. In fact, being a pediatric practice, patients whom we consulted back in December 2019 and Jan and Feb, all those patients came back now in the last 1 month or 2 months, and they've all gained 10, 15, 20 kgs of weight. In fact, people have climbed up onto the scale. When they came in, they said their weight was 156, and when they got onto the scale, the weight was 186. So it's that fast, So it's the susceptibility, the individual susceptibility for the disease, which has been impacted a lot. So people who are suffering from obesity already, I think they definitely have suffered more in terms of weight gain and not having an avenue to, find a solution for this. So definitely.
Well, the good part is we are also unlocking, and hopefully, we are going to be able to at least break some of those sedentary patterns, and we can all act against obesity. But Dr. Aman, tell me, I was reading a figure. Obesity impacts women more than it impacts men, it appears, especially in India. Is that the case, and why is that so?
So, that's a case worldwide. Mm-hmm. But, it's not that bleak as you are making it out, because men suffer more from obesity in terms of the obesity is more unhealthy for them. So when a woman has more fat, because it is naturally there because of their hormonal issues and the way the God has given the body, men have the fat mostly in their tummy. And that's why you see a lot of men with pot-bellied men walking around everywhere, And that is the more unhealthy fat. So though numerically women have more fat, but that fat is usually not unhealthy. Of course, when it's excess, obviously it's unhealthy. But men, the fat, the number of men having obesity is less, but their obesity is more dangerous, because the fat in the tummy is the one which causes diabetes, fatty liver, all the things that you counted earlier. All of them are related to the visceral fat or abdominal fat.
Right, and that's the most dangerous fat, because the fat around our tummy is where all those dangerous cells are produced, whether it's cancer or cardiac ailments and so on. But Dr. Aparna, let's delve a little deeper, because when it comes to women and obesity, and especially whether it's post-menopause, do we see suddenly a sharp rise in those numbers? What's been your experience?
Yes, so I think obesity actually affects women a little bit differently as well. So, and in all age groups, it's not only postmenopausal. It starts from adolescence, because if you see the rising rates of polycystic ovarian syndrome, that is extremely high nowadays. In fact, I think we're seeing more and more younger girls in the age group of early 20s coming with PCOS and in the range of 90 kgs, 100 kgs of weight.
So are they have they developed PCOS because of obesity, or obesity because of PCOS?
So it's a vicious cycle. So we don't know which one starts first. It could be the obesity which is actually leading to PCOS, and then PCOS making it very, very difficult to lose weight. And these kids actually suffer from a lot of not only physical problems, but a lot of social and psychological issues as well. So, I mean, very young and, struggling with obesity, blaming it on willpower and things like that. Then, of course, once you get into the reproductive age group and you get married and Imagine, I mean, everything is very, very difficult. So the rates of infertility, again, are very high in women. So it is carried through the whole thing of the PCOS and everything. Infertility is very high. We've had people coming in for bariatric surgery just for the treatment of infertility because there's nothing else which has been wrong with them. And these are couples who struggled for a decade, to try having a kid. They've tried everything.
So bariatric surgery is actually used to treat infertility?
To treat obesity, which actually helps in improvement of PCOS and then thus infertility. So pregnancies are difficult. Even assisted reproduction is difficult. Rates of miscarriages are very high for these women. And of course, the rate of cesarean section is higher as compared to normal delivery. Worst thing is the baby who will be born will also have a much higher chance of developing obesity and diabetes in future. So if the mother is obese. And this is in the younger age group. And as you rightly said, post-menopausal, of course, there is a huge jump in the weight gain, which again happens because of the hormonal changes that the body undergoes. So this is one part. Then there are certain cancers which are specifically seen in women.
Okay,
especially...
I'm just going to come in here because clearly for women, it's different stages. So stage, age, it seems like obesity impacts women at different ages in their life, depending on their hormonal makeup as well. Dr. Raman, let me come to you because again, I want to understand the profile of the patient who comes to you, for instance, for a surgery. Is it somebody who has tried all else and has everything else has failed? Or are you finding patients who are coming to you who are very aware of their options and they're saying, listen, I don't want to try the long and arduous route of trying 10 different diets. Let me first try a surgery.
Oh, well, that's $1 million question. But the thing is that almost 99% of the patients or even more have tried everything. A person with obesity, it's quite unlikely that the person remains unaffected by the social critique and the familial, accusations. Its stigma is on a daily basis. So whether it's your parents or whether your siblings or your schoolmates or your teachers or your friends or your office people, so because of that, the person tries it many times, very seriously they try it, and this is not and so when they come to us, all of them have tried it multiple times, successfully tried it, and there is a relapse. Okay, so I'm not saying that they have been failure. They have successfully tried a diet or they have been on going to gym. These are people with very strong willpowers. They have stopped alcohol a few years back. They have stopped smoking, given up smoking 10 years back, and they don't restart. But weight being a disease, obesity being a disease, it keeps coming back. So by the time they come to us, almost all of them, they're very rare situation, once in a year kind, that a person will come who has a significant obesity and they have not tried other things and they say, okay, I want a surgery. But that's extremely rare.
Okay, so it seems like a very painful process. I've been in my own dark hell for a long time, not seeing a breakthrough, and finally pushed into this corner. Dr. Aparna, it needn't be that way, right? Because if I am obese, it is a disease. I need to acknowledge it. I may as well first, perhaps, look at it differently and come to a surgeon or an expert such as yourself, rather than go through that tortuous path.
I think we need a lot more awareness to reach that stage. So I think things are definitely becoming better, and there is much more awareness than it was 5 years ago. Yes, and I think it will become better. We just, as a surgical community.
What's the biggest myth, Dr. Aparna, you think that a patient has, especially one who's suffering from obesity, when it comes to treatment options?
So people feel that they can treat any grade of obesity on their own. So they don't realize that the higher the grade, the more difficult it gets, and the treatment will differ as per the severity of the disease. So which is what we need to make them understand, that more severe the disease, different kind of treatment. Less severe, it will be a different kind of treatment. So that is why they need to take specialized opinion, and that is where awareness will start coming in.
Okay, so Dr. Raman, again, what do you think is the biggest mind block that patients have when it comes to using the latest scientific treatments which are there?
So I think you have already said that they think that this is the last option or the last step. They need to realize this is the only option for them. So they can, somebody who is obese or has a kind of diabetes which requires surgery, they can set a time frame. They can set a time frame of 3 months and 6 months, and then if things are not changing, they should go for surgery. They cannot definitely delay it for 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, because the more they delay, the more complications come in. Like what Aparna was saying, somebody may even have a cancer over a period of time. Somebody may have suffer from infertility and diabetes complications, kidney failures, heart attacks. So why should somebody wait for 5 to 10 years when the physicians, the gynecologist, everybody knows, the family knows that this is the only option which is going to work in long run for the person.
Right, because the Indian psyche is you have the willpower, you can do it. Willpower come hai. That's something that's said quite often, but that is not the case. And I think that's a great point that you've just brought up, Dr. Raman. That give it a shot, give yourself a fixed time frame, say 3 months, 6 months, and if it doesn't work, then go consult an expert. But Dr. Aparna, I think the other perhaps mindset, and for instance, for a layperson like me, I hear the word bariatric surgery and I think of, a stomach cut open and then stapled, and these are all sorts of images that come to my mind. How invasive actually is surgery?
So actually, surgery is called as minimally invasive surgery. So it is laparoscopic, and yes, it is. I would say that it is a major surgery inside, but the techniques and the technology and everything has improved so much today that the patient is actually walking in the evening, the same evening of surgery. So within 4 to 6 hours, they're able to, get up and about. They can go to the washroom themselves. And a lot of times, within say 36 to 48 hours, they can actually be discharged from the hospital. Within 7 to 10 days, they're back to work. So, of course, I mean, it's a major change that you bring into your life, but it is safe. It is as safe as any other surgery. So there is no such thing as bariatric surgery is more complicated or more serious or something. It is equally safe as any other surgery that is being performed today. In fact, much lower in risk as compared to other major surgeries like esophagus surgery or say a cardiac surgery and things like that. So, and plus, I think we also need to take into account the severity of the disease. If you don't do this, then what? I mean, you're going to keep progressing ultimately and then make things a lot more difficult for yourself.
Right. I think that's a really important point because obesity is a progressive disease. That means it will simply keep, growing, or rather it will keep impacting and eroding your organs, and you will see it impacting you in some way or form. So it's important to act. But tell me, when do I start, Dr. Raman? Actually, I've had the surgery. It doesn't seem like an invasive surgery, but when do I start seeing the effects?
So it's very simple. It's very easy to prognosticate or give a idea about how the person is going to lose weight. So likely to lose, say 7 to 10 kgs in first month if the person is 200 kgs. If person is 100 kgs, then the person is likely to lose about 5 kgs in first week, and then another 5 kgs in next 3 weeks.
So, doctor, I am losing that weight because I'm not able to eat as much as before. There is a physical restriction, or is it because I have to restrict my diet willfully?
There are multiple factors, so you don't need to willfully restrict the diet. That is the job of the stomach to. That's what the surgeon has done it inside. But there are multiple other factors. Weight loss is not because of diet alone. The surgery changes the physiology of the body. So the hormones of the intestine, the gut bacteria, the bile, there are many things which changes because of surgery. So even if you don't undergo surgery and have the same liquid diet for 1 week, you will probably lose 2 kgs, while after surgery, the same liquid diet gives a weight loss of 6 kgs. So that is the difference. So there are multiple other factors. Yeah.
So what's going to be my life like, Dr. Aparna? Okay, so I lose my 5 to 10 kgs, do I keep losing this kind of weight?
Yes, so the person will keep losing progressively for about a year, so 12 to 14 months, maybe sometimes up to 18 months. Weight loss, as Sir said, it is the fastest in the first 6 to 8 months, and then it tends to slow down. And life is normal, it's better. I mean, you enjoy it much more because, I mean, people have these
do I
myths.
enjoy
Yes.
it more because I can eat without any restrictions, or do I still eat with restrictions?
You eat with restrictions, of course, but the eating is not the only enjoyable factor in life. I mean, there's so much more to enjoy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So, I mean, it's a very, very gratifying branch to be in. Sir's been here much longer, and I think he has many more experiences than I may have. But
Right.
yes.
In fact, Dr. Raman, share with us some experiences you have, because, if I may say so, before we come to the experiences, we have seen people who've actually gained back a lot of the weight despite surgery. So why does that happen?
So it's very simple to understand that there is a tendency to gain weight. And then there is a lifestyle, as Aparna rightly said, that you eat with some restriction. Now, 80 to 85% patients are able to lose and maintain long term. It's only 10 to 15% who do not agree with the kind of lifestyle required after surgery, or who have a disease which is so overpowering. So mostly it's in a very small number of patients where there is a weight regain, and we are always able to identify the reason. Even the patient knows that if somebody is having alcohol on a daily basis even after surgery, or somebody is having sweets after every meal, or having fried food in every meal, then the surgery may not work, because it's the amount of calories one can get it from that kind of food is so high, even with limited quantity. But on the flip side of it, or the better side of it, majority of the people are able to maintain their weight even after 8 to 10 years. And that is what keeps us going, because that is what changes the life, and that's what makes it enjoyable for patients.
Okay, so since you've reached there, you've done the surgery, but remember, there's no magic. It's not a magic surgery. Now I can just, give up on all my restrictions. I have to keep a healthy lifestyle in mind. Okay, Dr. Aparna, we love hearing, stories. Share with us stories of patients, and as you said, it's a life-changing experience, because I've been fixated on the weight, but obviously there's so much more that changes. Share with us some stories of your patients.
I think one of the most, my favorite stories about a couple who had, both of them had polio, and they put on weight because they could not move around. And we see this in patients who are suffering from disabilities, that eventually they do tend to gain weight. And this patient of mine was actually dragging himself around the house in sitting position. So because he just, with continuous gain of weight, he just his mobility was completely restricted. So I was really happy because we did the surgery. He lost weight, and at least with the help of walker, he's able to walk around. So I think that's a big win, and that's what we want. We're not making anybody into a movie star, but it's the quality of life that changes and makes them independent. And I think that's what is the best thing about this.
That's a beautiful story, because a disability and plus obesity, it must have been a really hard life, and you've given them a second chance. Dr. Raman?
Oh, I can sit with you till tomorrow. Every patient is a story in himself, because it is such a life transforming surgery for them, that so if we do 200 surgeries a year, then there are 200 stories. But primarily it's like this, that if somebody, a lot of patients say that I don't walk anymore, I fly. Because once they have lost 20, 30, 40 kgs, they don't feel the strain of walking. So there are so many. We had a young girl from Mumbai, general manager's daughter, who would not go out with the family because of she felt that people looked at her because of obesity. They didn't look up at her, and she refused to go there. And we operated her. And young girl, it was a lot of issue. The only girl of those parents. And then within a year, she lost substantial weight, and she came to one of the support group meetings. And generally, parents tell their children not to speak out in support group meeting because they don't want to be identified. But then girl said, "I want to talk," and she
Hmm.
narrated her story. And then father stood up after that, and he said that we have like regained our child. The child would never go out for us for a wedding, for a party. She will remain locked up in the room. Educated child, and because of
Hmm.
the surgery, and everybody had moist eyes in the support group. So I think the stories we have a we had a psychologist who ultimately worked with us. She was just about 20-year-old, and she had such severe PCOS, and she was not having periods, and we operated her and her husband, father together, and she lost almost 60 kgs from 120 kgs. She came down to 60 kgs. She joined our program, worked with us for a few years, and then she
I
got
see.
married to an engineer in US, and she's still maintaining this weight from 2012 to 20. So I think there are enormous number of stories. Somebody calling up from Lonavala on a Sunday afternoon, waking me up from sleep. Dr. Goyal, I just ran after my child. I said, wow, so what happened? Well, no, I couldn't even walk with him. Now I'm in Lonavala today afternoon, and child was running, and I ran uphill after him, and I caught up with him. So those
Hmm.
stories are more important than just saying that I lost 30, 40 kg. They are the ones which connect with the heart. And that's what
Because ultimately, I think those are such beautiful stories, doctors. And I think we want to underline the fact that it's the overall quality of life. It's not just
yes.
about the weight, but it's just that your life just takes a different dimension when you're able to participate in all these activities. But having said that, there would be a lot of young people also watching this show, and some might think, hey, listen, we are all aspiring for those Bollywood figures, and maybe this is a quick fix surgery where, I'll lose 20, 30 kgs. Dr. Aparna, what are the safeguards in place to make sure that the surgery option for obesity is used for the right people in the right manner?
So we have guidelines which have been set by the Obesity Surgery Society of India and also by the World Body. And most pediatric surgeons would follow these guidelines. So I mean, if you're going to the right person and taking medical advice, I don't think you will have any issue and you will be guided properly. So it's all about looking for information in the right place and
Hmm.
getting proper guidance from qualified people who are masters in the field and not looking at Google and internet and just trying to just from hearsay basically. So
Right.
I think that's very important. So
Because again, a lot of
reach
young
out.
people to reach out and get expert
Yes,
opinion.
yes,
Right.
yes.
And not confuse surgeries like this with a procedure such as say a liposuction. That's an
Not at
entirely
all.
different drug, right?
Not at all.
That's an
That's completely
entirely
different. Yes,
completely different. Right. Now,
yes.
we began this show, and I think that this was an important, sort of point to bring out to people that this is a surgery meant for people who are suffering from obesity as a disease, and you'll see a whole change in the quality of your life with, of course, the safeguards that you follow that the doctors have laid out. So, doctors, we began the show saying that act against obesity because today we are facing a pandemic of sorts when it comes to obesity in our country. Dr. Raman, I'll come to you. What would be your message to young and old people who are watching this show in terms of acting out against obesity? What are the steps that need to be taken? What do they need to be aware of?
So first and the foremost is to accept that obesity is a disease. It is not a lack of willpower, because most of the people who have extra weight or who are obese, probably good, more of them go to gym for exercising, more of them have given up alcohol, more of them eat more healthy, but still they keep on getting obese. So first is acceptance of disease, that should come. Then the second thing is, don't go on a short term diet. Diet means intermittent fasting or keto diet for 3 months. Any diet, I don't know, I did not wanted to name any diet which you are going for 6 weeks or 6 months is not right.
Hmm.
You need to change your eating pattern. When you say diet means change your eating pattern for life, because those who have a tendency to put on weight or those who have a disease of obesity, this will keep coming back. So if you go on a diet for 3 months, it is going to come back after 3 months. So you need to change your life pattern permanently. And if you qualify for a certain, or if you are above a certain limit, go to a professional for help. It could be a bariatric surgeon if you are in bariatric surgery category, or if you have a chronic disease that comes with obesity like PCOS, like diabetes, or even heart failure, or so those are the people where we can reduce the kind of diseases by reducing the weight. So I think those are the people who need to go early for a surgery. Yes.
Okay, I think those are some great, great pieces of advice in terms of, don't go in for these fad diets and shock your system into losing weight because it's not sustainable.
Absolutely.
Change the way you actually eat and change the patterns in your life. Dr. Aparna, I want you to especially speak about women and what's the message that you'd like to send out to women who are suffering, if I may say so, many of them silently from this stigma. It is a stigma in our society.
So I think everyone, and especially women, they really need to reach out and seek help because as we've already discussed, that there's so much that goes on in the body, and don't delay treatment because the more you delay, the more you're going to suffer. And as doctors, we can only say that anything which is treated early has better results. So if we treat something early, we'll definitely get very good results. We will get results later as well, but then we make things difficult. We suffer ourselves and we make things difficult for others as well. So there is no need to do that. And also take care of your kids. I think for women, that is also very important because there is a certain amount of discipline which is required, especially for today's generation, because there's so much distraction which is available. So I think that is very important and it starts from home. So that is another aspect which I think we all need to be paying attention to because prevention is always better than cure. But then, yes, if you are suffering, don't continue to suffer. Please seek help.
Great, doctors, I'll just recap that for our viewers. So, when we speak about Act Against Obesity, that's what we heard from our doctors, that act today, don't suffer in silence. Give diets a shot, give lifestyle changes a shot. But if you are in that sort of dangerous category where you're seeing other diseases also come in, then you must seek professional help. And remember, don't keep going around in that dark world saying that I will try and bring this down or bring a change myself. Doctors, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
On Acting Against Obesity. We had two of Mumbai's best-known bariatric surgeons, Dr. Raman Goel and Dr. Aparna Bhaskar, joining us on this special series. We hope it's given you an insight on what to do today if you want to act against obesity, whether it is for yourself or for your loved one. That brings us to the end of this special series. I'm your host, Paramita Chatterjee. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.